All right, sorry we got cut off with the last lecture. So this is the last slide that we ended on, talking about utilization rates in different rangeland ecosystems. And so the reason that we have these set stocking rates or set utilization rates is really because of plant health. So that's shown here in this photo. So this is perennial grasses that were actually either not grazed over here on the left hand side, or grazed down to about 50% of total mass above the soil, then 70%, and then 90%. And the whole reason that we put such an emphasis on stocking rate is to protect the roots. So if you notice here that if we graze over time, up to and take up to 50% of the plant material, our roots really aren't very effective. But once you get to that 70 mark, 65, 70 mark, and then even 90, the roots just go away. And so the plant is eventually going to die if you continue to graze this way. And the reason for that is because the above ground material is really the photosynthetic material. So if you have a portion of it that just isn't there on a continuous basis, the roots don't need to get stronger, get bigger, because they don't need to get that extra resources, extra water, minerals, nutrients, etc., to support that additional plant biomass above the soil. All right, so as we move into proper stocking rate, this photo really, even though it's grainy, sorry about that, but this figure really gives us kind of a good idea of balancing a couple of different things to optimize the proper stocking rate. So we've got two lines here. The maximum gain per animal is the solid line, and then the gain per acre is the dashed line. So you can see if we understock here, the gain per animal is going to be very, very high because they're not going to have any competition. They're going to be able to gain very, very efficiently because they're going to be able to eat and intake feed in an unlimited fashion. But our gain per acre is going to be very, very low because we're going to have only a few animals on that pasture land. We're going to be understocked, so your gain per acre ends up being a lot lower. And then on the other side of that coin is our gain per acre starts really high, but as we get more and more overstocked, it decreases because as does the gain per animal. And this is because there's more competition for actually feed, and they can't get enough intake. Therefore, their growth is going to be stunted, and their gain is going to be a lot smaller than it would be if we were at an optimum range. So this is where we want to shoot for right here. That whole concept of balancing gain per animal and gain per acre is going to be sufficed by using a proper stocking rate. So livestock production, we really focus on setting our stocking rates either at or below carrying capacity. And this ensures a couple of things. First of all, it is going to ensure that we have desirable production on a per head basis. Okay, so that we are reaching target weights by just letting animals go out and graze. If we're understocked, we're not going to have a very big paycheck because we're not going to have very many animals. And if we're overstocked, we're going to have a lot of animals, but they're not going to gain very well. So the optimal production of animals per acre really is why we put so much emphasis on calculating stocking rates and making sure that those stocking rates are below the carrying capacity of a pasture or allotment or a permit. And then that whole designation of desirable or optimal is really in the eye of the beholder. So it's going to depend on the manager's goals. So the manager could be BLM, Forest Service, National Park Service, an NGO, or a private rancher. So, for example, a lot of our private ranchers here in California like to balance for making sure that they have livestock production and wildlife species. And we have to also balance that with making sure that there is enough of the residual dry matter removed so that they have less fire risk. All right, so to end this portion of the PowerPoint that we didn't get to, I want to give you guys the 4-step method for calculating stocking rates. I'll preface this by saying if you do these calculations in order every single time, you are going to remember it every single time. Okay, so step number 1, calculate the usable forage. You got to calculate what the land has. Then you're going to take that total amount that the land produces and you're going to adjust for terrain, water, or other constraints. A lot of times that is going to come in the form of a utilization rate. The third step is you've got to figure out how much forage your animals need. So calculating the forage demand of the animal. This could be on a per month basis or a per season basis. So pay very close attention to how long you need to feed these animals. And then finally, you're going to bring all 3 of those pieces of information together to calculate the final stocking rate. And that's usually going to be expressed on a per head basis or an AUM basis. All right, that is the end of the second online lecture. Don't forget to spend some time working through the stocking rate PowerPoint as well.